Coming up on Cronkite News, the debate over school vouchers heard before the Arizona State Board today. Find out how the board members voted and what it means for some Arizona students.
Plus, the local organization helping African American babies who are at the highest risk of mortality in Maricopa County.
And later, parking isn't just a problem for drivers in big cities. It's also a huge problem for long-haul truckers across the country. Find out how an Arizona politician is trying to come up with a solution.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Miriam Cristal.
And I'm John Brown. Thank you for joining us.
Today, the Arizona State Board of Education voted on and passed some new guidelines for parents and students who use a state scholarship program.
Cronkite News reporter Shira Tanza reports on those changes and how this program affects Arizona children.
The Empowerment Scholarship Account Program, commonly known as ESA or the School Voucher Program, allows parents to receive state money to choose how their children are educated. Today's vote approved changes in the ESA Parent Handbook, which has not been updated since last year. Approved updates include new requirements for potential teachers and tutors and required invoices and receipts for purchases under the program, which now includes transportation and technology. The ESA program has recently gone through major changes. Last year's universal expansion created a huge increase in families using the vouchers. Beth Lewis with Save Our School Arizona says the program went from 11,000 families to 52,000 families overnight.
We have, fought that universal expansion. We argued that it would deprioritize the needs of special education families who were using the ESA vouchers.
Parents and taxpayers spoke at today's meeting to voice their disapproval of the changes to the handbook. But ultimately, the school board decided to go ahead with the updated version, which is available online. In the newsroom, Shira Tanzer, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Shira. African American babies are at higher risk than any other race to die before the age of 1 in Maricopa County.
Cronkite News reporter Alyssa Munoz tells us why and how a local organization is helping families to prevent more deaths.
Just felt lost and depressed.
Danye Stokes is a mother of a 16-year-old. Back during her pregnancy, Stokes felt ill most of the time.
So bad that I was in and out of the hospital like every week.
Stokes recalls feeling dehydrated and losing almost 80 pounds during her pregnancy. Her first doctor told her it was just morning sickness.
I felt like I was kind of just a number because they kept sending me home.
A second doctor diagnosed her with hyperthyroidism, a condition that can cause irregular heartbeat and weight loss. This is just one of many things pregnant women have to worry about. According to Maricopa County data, African American babies are 2.5 times more likely than non-Hispanic white babies to die before the age of 1. Healthy Start, an organization in South Phoenix, is dedicated to helping families during and after pregnancy to prevent this number from increasing.
We see a lot of people who don't believe that the infant mortality rate, the maternal mortality rate is as bad as it is.
This poses somewhat of a concern for those of color. In a recent press release by the White House, it states Black women in America are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women. Beatty agrees. She believes there are things that cause these health disparities.
There are a number of things that lead into it. Structuralized and systemized racism is, certainly one of those.
In the same report by the White House, studies show Black women are often dismissed or ignored at hospitals or other healthcare places. They say systemic inequities are to blame.
African American moms are specifically put in a higher category of a risk, and so a lot of doctors will not perform vaginal birth after cesarean, specifically within African American communities. And race should not be one of the risk factors. Race is not a risk factor.
Healthy Start provides free services and referrals to local resources such as women and infant health education, childbirth assistance, and safe sleep counseling. These are things Danye wished she had. She hopes mothers who are in similar situations to know that they have choices.
But the main thing is to really ask questions, write things down. You can be, just focus more on your health care and what your needs are.
In Phoenix, Alyssa Munoz, Cronkite News.
Navajo Nation officials ordered evacuation Sunday for some residents in Chinle. After record snowfall this winter, the Chinle Wash is overflowing, posing a danger to those along the water. Tribal officials say some people are refusing to leave as they try to protect their homes and livestock. The Red Cross has opened a shelter for those who need a place to stay. No word on when those evacuations may be lifted.
And scary moments for passengers on an American Airlines flight bound for Phoenix yesterday. Shortly after the flight took off from Columbus, passengers saw flames start shooting out of the right engine. People on the ground capturing the terrifying moments as well. American Airlines says this all happened after a bird strike. The plane made an emergency landing and passengers were rebooked onto a later flight. American says the aircraft was taken out of service for maintenance.
Parking is hard enough to find already, but for truckers, finding places to sleep and rest are even harder. A study by the Federal Highway Administration reported that 98% of truck drivers said they regularly experience difficulty finding safe parking. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly and other U.S. senators have reintroduced legislation that would increase trucker parking across the country, and it would make it easier for truckers to find parking. For Tony Bradley of the Arizona Trucking Association, truck parking is a high priority.
There's a massive shortage of truck parking available for our drivers. By our estimates, there's one spot for every 11 truck drivers. So just think about that on a national scale. You know, one spot, 11 drivers trying to share that parking spot to rest not only for their 30-minute rest break, but for their 11-hour rest break.
One recent study looking at transportation issues for truckers rated parking as the number 3 issue behind fuel prices and the driver shortage.
Sometimes Republicans or Democrats don't necessarily agree with one another, but I feel like something that would probably unite all of them is that at some point in their careers, they probably had a speech where they mentioned hardworking truck drivers.
Senator Mark Kelly is part of a bipartisan team that is pushing the Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act. This bill would allocate $755 million for nationwide projects that provide commercial truck parking and improve safety for truck drivers.
That I'm excited that we're finally doing something about it. We've known about the truck parking shortage for a long time.
According to Truck Stops and Services, a trucker directory, in Arizona, there are 89 trucker stops across the state. Neighboring New Mexico has 95. And supporters say truckers are a big part of the supply chain. In fact, they provide 70% of the goods we depend on. It's one of the reasons they say this legislation is so important. Moving now to a story that is shaking up the media industry today. 2 popular cable news hosts are leaving their respected networks. This morning, Tucker Carlson and Fox News agreed to part ways. The unexpected announcement comes 1 week after Fox News settled a blockbuster defamation lawsuit with Dominion Voting Systems. In a media release, Fox News thanked Carlson and said his last show was Friday, April 21st. Shortly after Fox's statement, CNN announced it was cutting ties with co-host Don Lemon after 17 years at the network. In a statement, Lemon said, quote, "I am stunned," after he was given the news by his agent. In February, Lemon received criticism for on-air comments that were deemed sexist.
Over the weekend, Bed Bath & Beyond filed for bankruptcy as the company expects all of its stores to be closed by the end of June. Profits for Bed Bath & Beyond took a hit after stores closed for months during the pandemic, and the company says it will stop accepting coupons this Wednesday. Instead, it is going to offer deep discounts on products as part of its going out of business sale. Customers who need to make returns and exchanges have until May 21st, and you can still use gift cards until May 8th. Coming up on Cronkite News, taking a look at an invasive species you probably see more than you think. What is a stinknet and how you can spot it out in the wild?
Zari in the Cronkite Weather Center, and today I've been tracking the windy weather that's passing through Arizona. After the break, I'll have your full weather forecast.
When you support Arizona PBS, you plant a seed. Seeds that provide educational outreach in our community. Seeds that put our digital resources to work. Seeds that foster the trusted news coverage you expect from PBS. And seeds that continue the amazing PBS programs you love. But our garden can't keep growing without your support. Visit our website to see all the ways you can help our garden grow. Plant a seed with Arizona PBS today.
My heart is racing right now.
Fasten your seatbelt.
You're uncovering the truth.
These are consequential things.
Yeah. Oh, look at everybody.
I feel the presence of all these people.
I've got history.
No.
I wish my mom could be here to see this.
Amazing. It's like the most vital stuff, right?
Tuesdays on Arizona PBS.
Yellow plant bulbs are popping up everywhere, but they are not as pretty as you may think. In fact, it's highly invasive and harmful for our hot environment.
Brianna Steele has more on why this pretty plant is causing problems.
That's right, you can find stinknet anywhere, even in the heart of downtown Phoenix. And the best way to know if you have stinknet in your garden is if these bright yellow spheres have no petals and if it has a dark green carrot-like stem. And you don't want this little guy growing in your garden. The Cave Creek Regional Park is overrun by a certain yellow plant, stinknet. These yellow bulbs have been wreaking havoc in Arizona since the 90s and are only getting worse. Not only is a plant bad for our allergies, but it also hurts our environment.
This little guy is killing all those microbes under the soil and then taking advantage of, it outcompeting all the other native plants.
Stinknet is considered allelopathic, meaning it has chemical warfare in soil and may even kill native seeds before they can even germinate. When it starts to get the brownish color and a little bit of lighter yellow in its bulbs, it means it's starting to spread its seeds. And this can be detrimental for wildfires in Arizona.
It provides fuel for wildfires to move throughout the upland desert habitat. So it's not the cause of the wildfires, but it is why it has increased the frequency of wildfires and the magnitude in which we have them.
This species is also known as globe chamomile, but because this name was too appealing and the plant has an almost turpentine smell, it became known as stinknet.
Each individual yellow sphere that you see on one of the plants could produce 100 or more seeds. So when you have a large plant that is covered in 100 of those little composite flowers, one plant could potentially produce 100,000 seeds.
The Tucson Audubon Society has been tracking and trying to eradicate this spread. Other groups like Maricopa County Parks and Saguaro National Monument are encouraging people to remove it themselves or report it at sites like stinknet.org. In downtown Phoenix, Brianna Steele, Cronkite News.
Thanks for that story, Brianna. And turning to weather headlines now, it was a windy day in the valley and we even saw some cloud cover. But boy, those temps are going back to 100 degrees.
Jordan Lauzari is tracking it all down in the Cronkite News Weather Center. Jordan, how are things looking today?
You've got it right, guys. Today was cloudy but warm, and we are still seeing those temperatures even at 6 p.m. Degree by degree and hour by hour, we're going to make it back down to 81 degrees, so don't fret. It'll be a pretty nice evening. So here is our wind. So today has been incredibly windy. We are even seeing at 6 p.m. some pretty high, miles per hour of wind up in the north. And I'm going to kind of walk you through this, but we can see the brunt of it tomorrow afternoon. So all of this red and yellow is showing 30 mile per hour, possibly 25 to 30. But as we can go south a little bit, we're going to see the blue and green predominantly, which means up to 15 miles per hour and even 20 miles per hour. Thankfully for us, all of the wind is going to dissipate by around 11 tomorrow evening. And that will impact the weather a little bit. We can see that the north is going to stay incredibly cool because of the high mileage of wind, We're seeing 30 degrees in Flagstaff, 27 degrees in the Grand Canyon, and 65 in Phoenix. But we're seeing the temperatures really get scorching down in the southwest part, all 90 degrees across the board over here in this region. And that 30-degree jump is still staying very cool up in the north. The UV for tomorrow, we're seeing that 7-degree mark, which means that this is going to be very, very hard for us, those of us in the sun. So 15 to 25 minutes of direct sunlight could mean you're getting a sunburn. Now, looking at our 8-day forecast, we can see the week is starting pretty low in the 90s, but things are working their way up in the weekend. We are seeing that Thursday at 96 and 99 degrees Friday and Saturday. Sunday is finally hitting the triple digits, and Monday actually should be pretty similar to today with some of that cloud coverage, knocking the temps down just a little bit. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Jordan Lavazari.
I'm Austin Scott. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. The Cardinals' new uniforms have arrived. Hear from Jonathan Gannon and company on how they feel about the new threads.
We tell ourselves stories as a nation.
These stories need to be highlighted. They need to be explored.
We're the dreamers.
How serious is America's commitment to looking at its history? How can we learn from the past?
Douglas said, "You're going to look me in the eye and see my humanity."
It's illuminating. I'm seeing the expansiveness of my history.
It's pretty great.
There's so much richness to Black life and Black culture.
I think the story of Muslims in America is the story of America.
Tonight, they are free.
I cannot imagine how excited he must have been.
It's a wonderful feeling. This is why we do this.
It makes me even more committed to struggling for a better world.
Welcome.
How utterly charming. Are you ready to get it going? How does an English fan come to the Italian Riviera?
A fresh start.
Can I trust you?
Are you ready for the show?
You can't be afraid to show them what you've got, what you want.
Are we having a party?
Of course, the more the merrier.
I love this place. It's my home now. Trouble in paradise. I can't do it on my own.
This is revenge.
There are consequences.
Be careful.
Nothing like this. Nothing like this. Oh.
You look like you need rescuing.
Don't we all?
What is it that you want?
I just want to let go.
I choose how I live.
There is the passion that I've been looking for.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Austin Scott. The Phoenix Suns are one win away from advancing to the Western Conference semifinals after their 112-100 victory over the Los Angeles Clippers on Saturday. Our Sammy Miller was at Suns practice this morning and has more on how the team can close it out.
The Phoenix Suns have won their last 3 games against the Los Angeles Clippers, regaining home court advantage, and now have the chance to clinch the series tomorrow at Footprint Center. Now the Suns' go-to offensive scoring machines, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, have been leading the way over the Clippers, who are without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But it's a series-clinching game, and the intensity is always raised in those types of games, so DeAndre Ayton knows that they will have to give it everything they have in order to not force a Game 6.
Don't disrespect your opponent. Know that that's a bruised animal, and those are always the most aggressive ones. And understand that they just not gonna lay down, and we got to protect home regardless. And we still working on us. That's what people forget. We're working on us for us to be better, and for us to work on things, and we're hard on ourselves to close out games the right way. So it's gonna be a good game.
The Suns hope to get that series-clinching win tomorrow to allow some of their veteran players to get some extra rest before their next round, either against the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Denver Nuggets. But like head coach Monty Williams always says, they have to take it one game at a time. So for tomorrow's game, they have to make sure that they're feeding the big man in the paint, DeAndre Ayton, and they also have to hold Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell to under 50 points combined. In Phoenix, Sammy Miller, Cronkite News.
A select number of fans attended an all-exclusive first look into the 2023 Cardinals season behind new head coach Jonathan Gannon last week. Our Jack Pearson was at the event and shows us some of the new changes the team has in store.
Only April, but it's never too early to start looking ahead to football season as fans gathered at the Van Buren in Phoenix for a first look into the Cards' 2023 season that was headlined by a much-anticipated uniform reveal and a Q&A with head coach Jonathan Gannon, who has brought passion and enthusiasm to the Valley.
He has made a huge impact. He and Monty Ossenfort, boy, they've been at hard work ever since they joined the team, and they've been making a lot of great changes. We couldn't be more excited. There's an energy in the room.
Gannon, who was the Eagles' defensive coordinator last season, has enjoyed his new fan base in the Valley that is maybe a little bit more supportive than ones in his past.
I'm used to walking through the mall or a restaurant and getting probably sworn at, and here it's been all good. So people are asking for autographs. I'm like, me or somebody else, but no, I appreciate the warm welcome.
Of course, the fans were excited to hear from head coach Jonathan Gannon, but the uniforms is what they came to see, and when they were unveiled, they went absolutely insane.
I'm ready to raise my credit card bill. Let's go, tweet, tweet, woo!
3 new uniforms, in all white, all black, and all red, were released, and these fans were the first to see them worn by star players like Hollywood Brown, Zaven Collins, and Kyler Murray. The Cards are going for a clean look, according to owner Michael Bidwell. They wanted to keep these simple, maintain tradition with a modern touch.
I just like how they're, classic, original. It's just gonna be hard to mess these up. They don't win a lot of games in these.
We are still a long time away until the start of the NFL season, but the Cardinals are gonna look good. Will they play good is a question that will need to be answered come September. In Phoenix, Jack Pearson, Cronkite News.
From the gridiron to Phoenix Muni, ASU baseball earned the series win over number 21 Oregon State following Wednesday's abysmal 20-0 loss in Tucson. The Sun Devils became the first Pac-12 team since 2000 to score double digits in every game of a series against the Beavers. The weekend also marks the first series win over a ranked opponent since 2016. ASU is now one of just 5 powerhouse teams in America to not lose in conference series this season, and it doesn't get any easier from here. The Devils will prepare for play 5 games in 6 days, 2 midweek home games versus Cal State Fullerton, and a weekend road trip to Eugene.
This is arguably the most important stretch that we have, the most games we have in this short amount of time, and they're all important. This was an extremely important weekend for us against a very good team that we came out on top and obviously took the series. We got 2 tough games against Fullerton, who's been playing extremely well during the midweek games especially. That we got to show up, and those games are important for us.
The Sun Devils are trending up, and so is a former Sun Devil by the name of Drew Maggie. The Brophy Prep graduate played at ASU from 2009 to 2010, and after 13 seasons in the minor leagues, the 33-year-old got called up to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And so Maggie, you're going to get an opportunity to
After 1,115 games and 3,847 at-bats in the minor leagues, the former Sun Devil and Phoenix native is eagerly waiting for his first chance to prove himself in the big leagues. The Pirates will host the Dodgers tomorrow to kick off a 3-game series. That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you guys at the desk.
Okay, thanks, Austin. Still to come on Cronkite News.
Caught on camera?
We'll show you with a bizarre video from a movie theater in Alaska when we come back.
We tell ourselves stories as a nation.
These stories need to be highlighted. They need to be explored.
We're the dreamers.
How serious is America's commitment to looking at its history? How can we learn from the past?
Douglas said, "You're going to look me in the eye and see my humanity."
It's illuminating. I'm seeing the expansiveness of my history.
It's pretty great.
There's so much richness to Black life and Black culture.
I think the story of Muslims in America is the story of America.
Tonight, they are free.
I cannot imagine how excited he must have been.
It's a wonderful feeling. This is why we do this.
It makes me even more committed to struggling for a better world.
Welcome.
How utterly charming. Are you ready to get it going? How does an English fan come to the Italian Riviera?
A fresh start.
Can I trust you?
Are you ready for the show?
You can't be afraid to show them what you've got. What you want.
Are we having a party?
Of course, the more the merrier.
I love this place. It's my home now. Trouble in paradise. I can't do it on my own.
This is revenge.
There are consequences.
Be careful.
Nothing like this. Nothing like this. Oh.
You look like you need rescuing.
Don't we all?
What is it that you want?
I just want to let go.
I choose how I live.
There is the passion that I've been looking for.
A movie theater in Alaska got a surprise visitor last week who didn't seem very interested in watching a show.
Check out this video from a cinema in Kenai where a moose found its way through the lobby doors. It turns out it was dinner time for the moose. It spent a few minutes finishing up some leftover popcorn before the workers were able to coax the animal out of the theater.
They say the only reason they were able to do that was because it was young and would not have tried this if it was an adult.
And that's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Have a great night.